there's a hidden cost to awareness that no one talks about. We romanticize intuition, empathy, seeing deeply, as if being perceptive were a superpower. But in reality, the more you see, the more you lose. You lose comfort, illusions, belonging, and sometimes even your mind. Carl Jung understood this better than anyone. He knew that expanding consciousness isn't enlightenment, it's demolition. Every truth you see tears down a part of you that once depended on lies. That's why he said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." The more awake you become, the harder it is to participate in the collective dream that keeps everyone else sane. Why do most people stay blind? Let's be honest, most people don't actually want the truth. They want stability. Psychologically, the human mind is built for coherence, not truth. If a lie keeps the world predictable, the brain will protect it like oxygen. Cognitive dissonance, that internal alarm when reality contradicts belief, activates the same pain circuits as physical threat. So people defend their delusions like their lives depend on them, because in a sense, they do. That's why you can't wake people up. You're not just challenging their opinions, you're threatening the fragile psychological architecture that holds their identity together. Jung called this the persona, the mask we build to survive social life. When you strip it away too fast, people panic. They don't evolve, they regress. So the first danger of seeing too much is social exile. You can't unsee the fakeness, but they can't forgive you for seeing it. Awareness is not peace, it's disruption. When your perception expands, you begin to sense contradiction everywhere. The mother who loves her child but secretly resents her wasted youth. The preacher who speaks of humility but craves admiration. The happy couple sustained by fear of being alone. You see the tension between who people are and who they pretend to be. And that clarity doesn't bring peace, it brings friction. Your brain processes social cues others ignore. It picks up micro-expressions, tone shifts, nervous energy, all the subconscious data that betrays someone's true state. Neuroscientists call this high empathic accuracy, a rare trait linked to mirror neurons and trauma. It means you feel what others suppress. But the paradox is brutal. What others repress to stay functional, you absorb and carry. That's not spirituality. That's nervous system overload. And if you don't regulate it, it turns into chronic fatigue, anxiety, or emotional burnout. Once your awareness deepens, you don't just see the masks of others. You start seeing your own. That's when most people break. Because it's one thing to notice hypocrisy in others, it's another to see your own hidden envy, your secret manipulation, your quiet desire for validation dressed up as helping. This is what Jung called meeting the shadow. Every quality you condemn in others is something disowned within yourself. You think you're angry at their arrogance, but it's your own suppressed pride. You think you hate their laziness, but it's your own fear of rest. When you see the shadow clearly, it destroys your self-image. The good person dies. And without that mask, most people would rather cling to illusion than face the mirror. That's why Jung said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. The danger isn't just social, it's internal. Seeing too deeply without compassion turns awareness into self-hatred. And that hatred festers until consciousness becomes a curse. This is where most sensitive people fall. They start believing that if they can feel others' pain, they must fix it. But that's not empathy, it's ego in disguise. It's the illusion of control. If I just love hard enough, I can heal them. That's not love, that's trauma reenactment. You were probably trained early to regulate everyone else's emotions, to read the room, soothe conflict, anticipate danger. Your empathy was survival, now it's an addiction. So you rescue people who don't want saving. You give energy to people who drain you. You confuse compassion with servitude. Jung warned that when the ego identifies with the archetype of the savior, it becomes inflated, possessed by its own virtue. And every rescuer eventually becomes the victim they're trying to save. Because here's the law of psychological gravity. What you carry for others will eventually crush you. The more truth you see, the more you trigger those who live in denial. It's not personal, it's projection. People see in you what they've buried in themselves. Your presence mirrors their unconscious. They feel exposed, and instead of facing it, they attack you. That's why truth-tellers are always scapegoated. From Socrates to Jung himself, every one of them was rejected, mocked, or institutionalized. Humanity doesn't evolve through enlightenment. It evolves through breakdown, one nervous system at a time. When you make people conscious before they're ready, they don't thank you, they crucify you. People forget that awareness isn't just mental, it's biological. When you perceive too much emotional data, your amygdala fires constantly. Your brain interprets every tension as a threat. Your body starts living in survival mode. That's why empaths have higher cortisol, chronic fatigue, digestive issues, insomnia. Their nervous systems are flooded by information their consciousness can't process fast enough. Without grounding, awareness becomes trauma. And trauma without meaning becomes despair. So no, seeing deeply isn't enlightenment, it's overload. Until you learn to regulate your perception, the truth will keep burning you. If awareness is a curse, integration is the cure. Integration means learning to hold what you see without absorbing it. It starts with boundaries, not spiritual ones, but literal nervous system boundaries. Limiting exposure to chaos, practicing solitude, releasing the guilt of not fixing everyone. Then comes detachment, not apathy, but perspective. You understand that not every truth must be spoken, not every wound must be healed, not every shadow must be dragged into the light. You begin to let life correct itself. Because reality doesn't need your interference, it needs your steadiness. This is what Jung meant by holding the tension of opposites. You stop identifying with one side of truth and learn to carry both, light and dark, brokenness and beauty, tragedy and meaning, without collapsing into either. That's what it means to become whole. At this stage, awareness stops being chaos and becomes clarity. You can walk through dysfunction and not absorb it. You can listen to lies and still stay truthful. You can see someone's shadow without trying to destroy it. Your seeing becomes useful. Because now it's not driven by the need to fix or prove, it's grounded in understanding. People feel peace around you, not because you're healing them, but because your nervous system no longer mirrors their panic. You've become a calm frequency in a noisy world. And that's what true awareness is, not an escape from the unconscious, but the ability to stay conscious inside it. The final paradox is this: what began as a curse becomes a quiet kind of strength. When you integrate what you've seen, when you accept that not everyone is meant to wake up, you stop fighting reality and start mastering it. You stop wasting energy on convincing, fixing, or saving. You move strategically, knowing that most people are driven by unconscious forces they can't name. You stop reacting to manipulation because you can see where it comes from. You stop being shocked by cruelty because you understand its roots in fear. You become precise, calm, and impossible to gaslight. That's real power. It's not loud, it's awareness, stabilized. Jung called it individuation, becoming a whole person who sees reality and stays human through it. Seeing what others don't isn't a blessing, it's a responsibility. Because consciousness isn't supposed to make you superior. It's supposed to make you accountable. It's supposed to make you less judgmental, not more. It's supposed to help you stop projecting your pain onto the world. It's supposed to teach you humility, the humility to know that even the blind are playing their role. That's why the ultimate act of awareness is compassion. Not naive kindness, but the clear, quiet understanding that everyone is fighting their own unconscious. You don't need to change them, you don't need to preach to them, you just need to stay awake. Because a single conscious person does more good for the world than 1,000 asleep ones shouting about morality. The danger of seeing what others don't never disappears. But when you carry it correctly, it stops destroying you. It starts shaping you into something rare, someone who can see clearly, feel deeply, and still live wisely. That's maturity, and it's the only kind that lasts.